I was actually picking up a friend at the Pittsburgh airport, and I'm with him, and I get a phone call from a random number. I almost didn't pick up, which well, that would have been bad. But I picked up,
Yeah.
and they said, we want to offer you the position in Paris. I lost it. It was incredible. They were like, you have about 3 days to accept, to think it over. I was like, I'll accept. I'm in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Anisa Tova. And today we've got one dynamic duo on the show, father and son team. Michael Fried, seasoned family law attorney and a partner at Berkman Bottger Newman Schein, LLP, and his son Andrew, who just finished a super exciting internship with NBC Universal. He worked as the operations runner for the Olympics in Paris. So I absolutely cannot wait to dive into their stories. Welcome to the show, Michael and Andrew.
Hi.
Thank you.
Wow, this is I mean, there's so much that I want to ask. And I know we started chatting before the show, and I said, let's save this good energy here. But we had a little warm up. And Michael, I'm sorry, but you'll have to wait your turn. The spotlight now is on Andrew. So, Andrew, you
Absolutely.
are fresh back from Paris. First of all, how did you land this gig with NBC Universal? That's not easy.
It was definitely not easy. It was in August of 23. My professor had posted internship listings like he usually did for the class. I applied to it with no real expectations. I had applied to previously 80 other internships, heard nothing back, so I figured why not give it a try. Within 2, 3 weeks, I was given a virtual interview, which was a first for me, where it was 10 questions, talking to myself, answering them. It was a little strange, but it was nice to get it done once. I didn't think anything after that. I thought, well, at least I've done that now. I've done the virtual interview. I can go into another internship, knowing what to expect. And then a month later, they asked me to do a one-on-one interview with someone, and by January, they had called me up and offered me the job. It was incredible.
Okay, now they called you in the middle of what? You were in the middle of doing something. When did that call
So
happen?
So I had actually, it had been a couple of weeks of me like, when am I going to get this call? I would email them and say like, I was supposed to hear back. And they were like, you'll hear back next week. Next week, it kept, being pushed back. So I thought nothing of it. I just kind of figured I'd push it over, start looking into other opportunities. I was actually picking up a friend at the Pittsburgh airport, and I'm with him, and I get a phone call from a random number. I almost didn't pick up, which well, that would have been bad. But I picked up,
Yeah.
and they said, we want to offer you the position in Paris. I lost it. It was incredible. They were like, you have about 3 days to accept, to think it over. I was like, I'll accept. I'm in.
Yeah, let me think about it. Yeah, okay.
No
Wow.
hesitation. No hesitation.
That that's incredible. So, how do you know the stats? Like, do you know out of how many applicants?
So I don't know the exact number of applicants, but I know to get to the virtual interview was, I believe, 4,000. They told me, and it ended up with about 15 or 17 interns. So I definitely felt pretty special and pretty important that I was meant to be there if I was able to be selected in such a big group.
That is incredible. What I mean, I'm sure there are many, many moments. Is there a particular moment or experience that just totally stands out for you even today as you reflect back?
I think there was two big things that I had. I really enjoyed the parts where I had to go to venues and work. I got to experience a beach volleyball event where it was right at nighttime when the Eiffel Tower was getting lit up. Everyone was, the whole fan club around the area was just getting really excited to see the sparkles of the tower. I had never seen it, so seeing everyone just take time to watch that was really exciting. But on the other side, on the professional side, I had the opportunity to talk to a sports analyst, Kaylee Hartung from the Today Show, and she was so excited to answer any questions I had. She really gave me great advice and talked me through the industry, which was some of the most important thing I could have gotten out of this internship.
I don't even I have just so many more questions. I'm so curious. Is there I know there's so much behind the scenes. I mean, what we see, obviously, or what we saw on our side is, obviously the performance. I mean, there's so much that goes on. Can you talk about maybe one sort of unexpected thing that went down that like audience we would be not shocked to know, but would not be aware of? Something that stands out?
Yeah, so I got there about a week and a half before the game started, and a big thing for me was like getting everything set up for when it does start so it all can run smoothly on the production side. And so one day I had to go with a team of people to the gymnastics venue, and it was about 4 or 5, maybe 6 days before competition started, and it had looked like nothing had been done. And it was kind of surprising how, I'm looking at it, I said, they have competitions in maybe a week, and I don't see a beam, I don't see a bar in sight. So it was like kind of surprising how all these things can just come so quickly together, um, just for a live performance. And then, you see all the top performances like Simone Biles and everyone else, but like a week before they went, there was nothing here.
Wow. And it all came together like that. That's incredible. Wow. Michael, you must have been so proud. What was that like for you to hear the news?
It was an incredible feeling. My wife and I found out together, and we just looked at each other like, "Is this really happening?" It was a dream come true for us. I'm a little concerned now. He's my executive producer for 5 Minutes with Freed, so I feel like I just want him to
Mm.
remember the little people. Can't forget about us. But no, we're so proud, and I mean, the sky is the limit with
Yeah. Now getting back to you, Michael. So what
that.
about what's your story? How you must have done something right. You and your wife must have done something right. But what about you? How did you get started in the law and sort of what's kept you hooked, all these years?
Well, I started out in law school. I remember driving with my father, and he says, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I know I don't want to do everything. I'm not smart enough to know every area of the law, so I want to specialize." And it
Mm.
was the best decision that I made. To get into one area, know it well. That to me was the best decision I ever made. And it's the saying. There's a saying: "It takes a village to raise a child." It takes a village to raise a matrimonial attorney. You need a lot of love and caring from not only on family side but professionally. And I was I was fortunate enough to be mentored by some great attorneys. I mean, I could think off the top of my head when I was a baby lawyer. I had worked with Susan Bender, one of the best attorneys in New York, best trial attorney, one of the best trial attorneys I've ever seen, and on her partner was Sandra Katz, was incredible with numbers, and she treated me like a son, and really, sat with me, told me when I wasn't doing the right thing, when I wasn't analyzing something correctly. And I mean, those experiences, working with people with so much experience, is so invaluable. And then I guess the third person was Keith Rieger, who he
Yeah.
I became partners with Keith about, I'd say, about 10, 12 years ago. And as a young lawyer and a young partner, he gave me the confidence to say, you can go out, do your trial. I would second seat when I was a young associate. I would second seat a trial. And he says, you know what, this stuff, go out and do it. And he gave me the confidence to do the trials on my own. And he was the one who actually was pushing me towards going into and applying for the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. I took the test and became a fellow in 2018. And again, it's those experiences, to have those people behind you, supporting you on the professional end, and then obviously with family as well. What we do is some of the toughest things, and to have a supportive family between my children and especially my wife. I'm not the easiest person to get along with, so to live with,
Really?
but my my wife has been there and been very supportive. And in our area of the law, it's a 24/7 job. It's not like you punch in at 9 and you leave at 5. It's just not like that.
Mm. That is very true. There's so many hats that you wear. It's not just being an expert in so many areas of the law and guiding your clients to rational outcome, dealing with their emotions, zealously advocating. There's just so much. And we talk about it is, how do you do that and not to lose your sense of self and then literally sort of leave it behind as you come home, and that's not easy to do. Andrew, to you, just listening to your dad, I'm curious, what was that like, um, when dad would come home, from work, and did you feel like he was fully present? Did he have cases on his mind?
I mean, I had never known until I was much older that he was working after once he got home. It was once he was home, he was dad. He wasn't Michael Freed. He was dad. That's all I knew. He would come
Wow.
home, we would hang out, we would play, he'd come to all my games. He would never miss any of my baseball games. So to me, it was never, lawyer dad first. It was just dad. And I think that was
Mm.
something I was very lucky to grow up with, and help shape me into all my future, everything I do in the future is because he was able to be there and take time and kind of turn off the work mode and turn on the dad mode very easily.
Okay,
Mm.
we did work on these answers, so that was good.
Yeah.
You'll get your $10 later.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah, what did he grease the wheel a little bit? Um, well,
Hey,
what's really cool to see though, you continue to team up on projects. And Michael, I know you have your podcast, 5 Minutes with Freed, has really taken off. I mean, you're on your 100 and what episode now?
So we've taped about 180. No, actually, I've taped about over 200, but
Wow.
we just started. I think episode 180 was coming on. So it's we took a little bit of a hiatus during the summer, so we can catch up with things. But it's been a great experience. I started it around 20 beginning of 2021 during the
Mm.
heart of the pandemic because I wanted to be seen and heard more, and I like to go to networking events, and obviously there was no opportunity to do that during the pandemic. So came up with this idea, and the best part about it was working with Andrew because there's no way he's going to work as a lawyer with me. So to be able to work, in that capacity, and the music came from him. The everything that's good about the podcast comes from him.
You guys are a great team. Um, Andrew, do you have any behind the scenes bloopers? Any stories from these podcasts that we do
So,
not see?
and I'm still a little upset about this. On the first episode, I made him a pretty great intro video. It was the height of COVID. Everyone's inside. I thought this was really funny. I have him getting all dressed up, tying his tie, combing his hair. And as he walks down the stairs, he's wearing his pajama pants. And it was a pretty great start. It kind of, it helped with the times. It was great. It was gone after the first episode. I'm still a little upset about that. Um, it still lives on my computer on my hard drive,
Mm.
so if anyone ever needs to see it, I have it. But besides that, my favorite part about it is when he does send me the clips, he
Yeah.
doesn't message me like I'm his son. This is now that's work Michael. So he'll send me like, "Hi, hope your weekend was great. I need this, this, and that." And then he'll text me and be like, "Oh, how's classes?" So these are two totally different people that I'm dealing with on a daily basis. that makes it a lot of fun to work with for the past few years.
Well, it's hard to shut it down. It is, when
Yes.
you're in a work mode, and yet, oh, like, oh, that's right, that's my son. I don't need to say that, but he's he's been an essential part of the show, and I definitely couldn't do it without him. And if you do want to see that beginning part, it is on episode 1 of 5 Minutes with Free. The only
I
time
will.
it's a one shot deal.
Yep. No, you know it. You know it. And I don't care if it was residing on archives. I would have you retrieve it. I must see it. Absolutely. That's you know, I think this is so important. I love to laugh. I think laughter is important. You can't really take yourself too seriously. And so I'm curious what guys, what makes you laugh out loud? Like really belly laugh?
I'll tell you that it's very simple. My son and my daughter, they're the funniest, either individually or together. I mean, we have a family group chat, and some of the things that come out of that family group chat is like, I'm sitting at my desk and I'm laughing hysterically. I mean, my kids are the funniest. They're just some of the things that they say are just out of control. So that they make me laugh.
That's
He
great.
also
Andrew,
gives
what
us
about you?
really easy he gives us really easy material to work with the things he does sometimes. So it is it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit of that. He makes me laugh for just being him. He doesn't try it. He doesn't try to be funny, but he is. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know, I want to ask you because one of the things that many people struggle with, doesn't matter what generation, how old, is really getting out there connecting with people. Um, and a lot of, there's a lot of anxiety, getting back out, networking. What do I say? I feel awkward. What if I'm judged? And both of you really have put yourself out there. And me personally, I'm an introvert functioning in an extroverted world, which means that I am totally fine, but there's certain things that will drain my energy and I need to recharge it. So for me, going to like a networking event, the superficial conversations, it's like, okay, I usually just kind of get drained and then I need to recharge. I'm a very curious person to just really connect with people on a deeper level. What I would love to hear from each of you, what would be like, how do you navigate that? Um, because, obviously, Andrew, you were out in Paris. I mean, it was a completely new territory, new experience, and you found sort of your path there. And then Michael, with your podcast and mentoring, young attorneys, I would love to hear how what would be your advice, and personally, how do you do that?
Well, I'll say that for me, I mean, the most important thing for me is to do things that sometimes take you out of your comfort zone. I mean, to me, I think it's healthy. I think it's important. It's important in terms of growth. With me going and taking the academy exam, which was like taking another bar exam, which I needed like a hole in the head, but it turned out to be like I love working, dealing with the academy, going to the meetings. Also doing this podcast, which I've, just wanted to do something different and challenge myself. And now I'm doing it in about a week because I'm going to be for the first time I'm working as an adjunct professor at Toro Law School, teaching family law, which
Wow.
was really always a dream of mine to do. And I mean, it's exciting. It's a little nerve wracking because I've never done it before, but I think it's important to be able to do things where you're a little uncomfortable. And so seems like I've been doing that now for the past few years. Things I'm not comfortable with, but after I start it and I enjoy it, it's worth it.
Just doing it and staying
Yeah,
consistent, it sounds like. Yeah, yeah, seeking that
that's
and I love what you said, it's just basically seeking it's uncomfortable, but you continue and do that, it's almost like you strengthening that muscle. And it almost feels like with every with every repetition, with every rep, basically you're getting better and better at it. And I also heard you say and having fun with it. I guess that comes along with that to a degree as well,
Yeah,
to some of it.
I
Yeah.
I think it's, getting over the nerves. Well, like doing the first podcast, I was nervous. Now I do it in my sleep, and hopefully after I get through my oh, there it is. How did you? Oh, jeez.
Ah,
It
This is my
wow.
proudest work.
love this.
Oh my God. Now I just want to tell everybody, just when you see me down the steps, those are shorts, not
Uh-huh.
underwear, shorts.
Sure. Oh,
Oh, good.
priceless, priceless. Love it. You're hired, Andrew. That's it. I want you on
Thank
my team.
you.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, that's too funny. He threw you off, didn't
I,
he?
I don't know where I was. I I think it's Andrew's turn now.
Okay, Andrew, your turn.
Yeah, so I love to talk. I love talking to people, and I think that is a big thing I got from my mother. But my father was able to craft that into a professional way to talk and network because he would take me to these networking events when he could. So I'm meeting, I mean, people who do all kinds of jobs, all kinds of careers. And, yeah, I was young, so I wasn't really trying to get a job out of these people, but the experience at such a young age to talk and learn how to have that professional conversation while also being personal, it really helped get me where I am now because I think a big thing I have is my ability to talk to people. I always said if I can just talk to an interviewer for a job, I feel like I can get it. And this was my that internship was the first time I ever got to talk to someone in an interview, and I landed
Wow.
it. So I think that it's a big thing for me is my ability to have those professional conversations. So when I got to France, when I got to Paris, I was able to meet pretty much everyone in every department of NBC, and it was really up to me because no one's gonna come up to me and make conversation all the time. I have to go out of my comfort zone and talk to these people because I'm just an intern. They all have high up jobs, they all have a lot of responsibilities. They're not gonna, come down and talk to me. I have to go to them. And what was great is how nice and kind everyone was. That when I went up to them, they took the time, they stopped what they were doing, and they talked to me about their experiences. They got to know me a lot, so being able to get out of that comfort zone and talk to these people really helped me make a great environment for myself for the month that I was working there. Because after the first week, when I was getting to know everyone, I'd walk in, I'm saying hello to the entire team. Everyone knows me. I'm not just a number. I wasn't just an intern. I was a person, which made for a very special experience. And I couldn't have done that without those networking events with my father. And I couldn't have done that with, constantly talking with my mother. So it's those skills that I took and crafted into something special, which kind of helped me get to where I am now, which is great.
That is so awesome. So I hear from your dad, it was just throwing yourself out there, even if it means being a little uncomfortable, but continue to do that. And then from you, Andrew, it's just you have like this natural curiosity. I love to connect and talk to people. Um, that is such a great advice. Andrew, do you like to ask when you're starting a conversation, do you ask questions or how would you approach, let's say there's somebody you were in friends or somebody standing there, you never met them before, how would you approach them?
I always just I treat it like I'm trying to make a friend when it comes to just approaching someone. I say, "Hey, how are you? Like, my name's Andrew, this and that." That usually starts a conversation. But one of the things that I'm really proud of, I came up with this one on my own. Whenever I have a conversation or an interview with a professional, they always say like, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I always like to ask my one question. I ask everyone. I say, if you could talk to yourself back in time at my age, knowing what you know now, what would you tell that person? What would you tell younger you? What advice would you give them? Because that advice helps me because they're really just giving me advice that they know now, but they love it. They love answering that question. So I've gotten so many great answers from that, and people love to talk about it. People love, talking about their own experiences and then kind of turning that into advice for a younger self or me. So it's nice. That's like my favorite thing to end the conversation with a professional. I asked it a lot of times in France, and it works. People love giving me great advice when it comes to that.
Wow, that is a great question. That is a really great question, and it probably disarming because I think many people love to talk about themselves and maybe even makes them feel a bit vulnerable and it deepens that connection. That is a really cool question. Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
great
I think
advice.
And
I
he's
think something
also
that
got that probably. Angie, did you get that from 5 Minutes of Freed from a question of the week?
no.
No.
Okay, sure.
But I will say something big about communication because I know a lot of people. A lot of people get very frustrated with my generation, and I get it. I'm around my generation all the time. I see why people can get frustrated. It it is different, and I know a lot of people have that social anxiety. I mean, the pandemic kind of isolated everyone, so people had to do a big reset on how they communicate with the outside. Um, my biggest thing is like my dad said, it's to keep just pushing outside of that comfort zone. It is hard, but you can't get anywhere without it. It's about knowing people, it's about talking to people, and you can go so far with just one conversation.
Yeah, because you know what, it is it is a must. It doesn't matter. I mean, and if you don't like to connect with people, if it makes you anxious to meet with them physically, I mean, look, we're connecting virtually. Okay, big deal. At least we are doing it, and I think it can deepen a connection as well. But the main thing is doing it, and I think asking questions, that's you don't have to know everything, and it's even if it's, you take a ride with someone in the elevator and you're there for like 30 seconds, you can comment on the weather, say, "Hey, isn't that we have a nice weather today, don't we?" And then just what do you like to do you prefer, when it's warmer or when it's colder? And, I can't wait to hit the ski slopes. I mean, it could be anything, right? It's just an opportunity to ask questions, to be curious. And, but it's something that we need to do. I agree. Michael, you just alluded to like your question of the week. I know you love the question of the week. You like to throw off your guests. Um, Michael, here's a one for you. If you could
Oh,
create if you could create a new, reality TV show based on your life, what would it be called, and what crazy challenges would you include?
whew, a reality show about myself. I guess I do something like OCD is real. Uh, I,
See, you're good.
I could get into that, but I'm not. If my wife was on the show, she can tell some good stories about it. But gee, I don't know. Reality's putting me on the spot here. I mean, I don't know.
I know, you know what? We'll give you actually some time to think about that. Actually, Andrew, maybe you can help dad. Actually, for you, it's if your dad had to play a role in one of your favorite, shows, who would it be and why?
Ooh,
Oh, okay. So now I've only thought about this for 5 seconds, and I'm going to say I would think that Michael Freed would be a great James Gandolfini's Tony Soprano. Um, I would watch every season. I would watch the entirety of it. I think the character development wouldn't be as great, but it would be a lot more entertaining. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just into that show right now.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, Michael, well, if you're still thinking about it, I'm just wondering, um, Andrew, if I was to ask your sister, and what role would she think that you would play in one of her favorite shows, who do you think she would say that you would play?
Oh God. Um, I like to think that she would put me in kind of any side funny character role. I don't think I'm main character ready. She's told me that many times to humble me. But I like to think that I can play the funny little side character that gets a couple good scenes. As far as what show, I don't actually know what show she watches anymore because everything that she watches was made 40 years before I was born. So I don't know all the TV she watches. I couldn't list you any from the past 25 years.
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
She I watched Friends with her growing up. Maybe she'd put me in as Chandler. That's all I can think about.
Oh,
That's a good show.
that's
Yeah,
good.
that's
That's a
timeless.
good one.
That's a good one.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. What does, what does your fun family chill time look like when you guys actually get together?
So, uh, yeah, when Andrew's not in West Virginia or France, and we're all together, especially in the summertime, we love going to the beach. We've had, I guess, for the past 18 years, we've had a cabana, same place, same side in Atlantic Beach, and just at least I know for me, just being able to clear my head from the week of what we do. It's nice just to listen to the ocean and just kind of zone out. That's to me, that's my relaxation. If the weather is nice, I'm there from Saturday till Sunday night.
Nice. Mm. So
Andrew,
now, Andrew, what's next for you?
Well, tomorrow is the first day of classes for my senior year, so it's kind of the start of the finale for my last year of college. It's I have a very important senior capstone class that I'm very excited about, and I'm really just going to enjoy every moment of the semester and this following semester, and just make the most of it. Once I can start applying for jobs outside of the once I graduate, it'll all start hitting off. But that's for a later problem for me to deal with. Right now, I'm just gonna enjoy the end of the summer into the fall. I work at a bookstore locally, so it's a nice transition from Paris to Morgantown bookstore. But it'll be fun. I'm very excited. I'm happy to be with my friends again. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good semester. So ready for that to start.
That's really exciting. That's not the last we certainly, heard from you. That's for sure. I sense big things coming on there. Um, Michael, any parting thoughts?
parting thoughts. I mean, just I guess what I like, what I enjoy the most now, and what I'm doing is the mentoring aspect of things. And I always look back at like I always have to analogize things to sports. I look at it like a coaching tree. So coaching trees, you have, let's say, like one of my favorite football coaches of all time was Bill Parcells, and he had a coaching tree, meaning he had people that he mentored, such as Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches in football history, and Tom Coughlin, who won a Super Bowl, two Super Bowls with the Giants. And to me, I you know, the accomplishments that you have as an individual, as a lawyer, is great. Yeah, I won a trial here, won a motion here. But to me, the most important thing I think is being able to mentor younger associates so that maybe in 20 to 30 years they'll say, you know what? Just like I said today with Susan Bender, Sandy Katz, and Keith Rieger, maybe the Ian Steinbergs of the world, or the Samantha Coopers, or Allison Weinbergs from my office, the associates say, Michael Fried really, he helped me get to where I am today. And, I would love to be on like a lawyer tree, so that I could say years from now, these attorneys who are now, academy attorneys, super attorneys, I felt like I had a little bit, to do with their success, and that brings me the most joy. I actually get like nervous before they're going to court more than if I was even going to court, because I want them to do well, and I want them to succeed. And it's like almost like they're like my children in that respect. That I want to make sure that they do their best, and to help them along the way. It's to me, it's the greatest thing that a lawyer can do is to help another lawyer get get to where they succeed. That's my parting
Sharing.
thought.
Yeah. No, thank you. You sharing yourself and you're passing on this gift and of being a mentor. I think that is tremendously needed, and you get so much joy, out of their growth. And it sounds, and I know what I know about you is you're very approachable and willing to offer guidance. And because there are people who say, okay, ask, ask, and you need to, especially as a young or incoming attorney, is ask for advice and connect with with more seasoned attorneys, but not everybody's willing to give that time. So I know that from you, it is truly authentic, and you've been doing it. So, guys, I know this is not your last appearance here. This has been what a pleasure, what a joy. It's been so much fun having you here today, joining us, and thank you so much, sharing your story.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for having us. It was great, and I'm glad to share the spotlight with my son. It's an honor, and it's a privilege. So I thank you.
Wow. Well, to our viewers and listeners, to find out more about Michael Fried and how to get a hold of him, make sure you check out his bio link below. And of course, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. Follow us on all social media channels. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.